Excellency Andesa, Mr. Simon, ASEAN Deputy Secretary General Mr. Lim, UMFCCI Chairman, Uwe Ao, senior officials, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. Minglawa. Good morning and welcome to Yangon for this AEC Symposium 2014. Particularly, I'd like to welcome presenters, panelists, and moderators who came from around the region and to thank you for the contribution you are going to make today. I'd also like to warmly welcome the strong representation and participation of the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that the private sector is the engine of the growth in our economies. So we have to be sensitive and responsive to their needs for enhancing their competitiveness. In fact, small and medium enterprises, SMEs, comprise about 90% of the private sector in our region's economy. Therefore, the dynamism and competitiveness of our region's economy depends to a large extent on the development of the SMEs in our region. That's why ASEAN leaders have been making all-out attempts to achieve AEC by 2015 by implementing AEC measures included under 4 pillars. The aim is to help the private sector, including SMEs, to be competitive regionally and globally as well. Implementation of AEC measures started in 2008-2009 as phase 1. Now phase 4 is under process. According to the scorecard, on average, about 82% of the measures was implemented. So we can see that there are outstanding issues still remain to be addressed. These issues are significant challenges for policymakers, but ASEAN leaders are firmly determined to delivering this ambitious agenda. Here, we should take into consideration the suggestion made in midterm review MDR of AEC, East Asia Research Institute for Asia and East Asia. AEC points out that there should be an assessment whether the measures adopted are effective or not. So there should be a thorough discussion or debate about AEC measures adopted as well as outstandings. Although the AEC is a government-led initiative, it needs to have the stakeholders' involvement. It needs to have the stakeholders' participation. I believe that this symposium will provide all of us with the opportunity to speak out about AEC from a various point of views. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the program, this symposium has, as far as I understand, 3 main topics. They are AEC and Business Center, AEC Integration, and SME Policy Environment. I hope that these topics are really relevant and valuable to the private sector, including SMEs, because the topics are directly related to their development. In addition, these topics are allied to significant policy issues of the ASEAN, especially I am delighted to see that SME policy development is included in the main topics because SME development is a key deliverable for Myanmar's ASEAN chairmanship period. So I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to ASEAN Secretariat for materializing this symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I'd like to cordially request all the speakers to share your knowledge and experiences. And I'm also looking forward to having an open and active exchange of views and outlooks. Have a nice day in Yangon and be home safe and sound. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Sanri, Deputy Minister of Regional Planning and Economic Development, for your keynote address and important.
His Excellency, Deputy Minister of Planning and Development, Dr. Sanri, His Excellency, Dr. Lim Hong Hin, my good friend from the ASEAN Secretariat, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to be here in Yangon once again, the city I called home for 3 years until 2011, and the place that I first visited in 1982. Room tariffs at the Strand in 1982 were $2 a night, and I was very disappointed they wouldn't give me that rate this time. It's inspiring to witness the optimism that abounds in Myanmar in 2014. It has been a year of great achievement for the Myanmar government, with its exceptional performance as ASEAN chair, and this bodes well for the nation's future. It reveals many things about the potential of Myanmar as a country, but most of all it speaks of a special quality in the national character, one shaped by vision, commitment and determination. That special quality will no doubt be put to good use as Myanmar's private sector positions itself to the new realities of a rapidly changing domestic scene and ongoing regional economic integration. Myanmar's future prosperity will depend on how well Myanmar business responds to these difficult but exciting challenges. For those locals in the audience, it is not news to you that Australia is a great friend and supporter of Myanmar. What you may not know is that Australia is also a long-time supporter of ASEAN's ambitious economic integration agenda, and that support is manifested in a number of ways. That includes through technical cooperation programs delivered through the ASEAN Secretariat, one of which supports today's symposium, through our $1 billion plus suite of bilateral and regional development cooperation programs that contribute to narrowing the development gap within ASEAN, and through successfully negotiating high-quality free trade agreements, most recently the ASEAN Australia New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. Australia and ASEAN have become close and dependable partners in the trade policy space through these endeavours, which is why we are enthusiastically pursuing together an even greater vision, a 16-member free trade agreement known as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or ASEAN, a very important element of ASEAN's broader East Asian economic integration ambitions. The ASEAN-Australia Partnership marks its 40th anniversary this year, and our cooperation traverses many fields. If one area stands out, it's our economic engagement, where two-way trade now exceeds $92 billion a year and growing. Indeed, that figure is more than twice what it was a decade ago. Few would have predicted in 1974, when ASEAN and Australia became formal partners, that by 2014, ASEAN would be Australia's second largest trading partner, eclipsing both Japan and the EU, and second only to China. Australia admires ASEAN for its accomplishments and its vision, and we have every interest in seeing the ASEAN Economic Community work. The success of that endeavour rests on the combined efforts of many, but most particularly upon ASEAN's economic policymakers and business leaders. ASEAN has been showing leadership on regional economic integration for over 20 years, and it is clear to see that that leadership is paying off. ASEAN has outpaced the rest of the world in GDP per capita terms, with average real growth since the 1970s of more than 5%, making it now the world's 7th largest economy. Extreme poverty is declining from around 14% in 2000 to 3% in 2013, and the middle class is exploding. I'm sure members of this audience will have noticed the build-up of pressure as the December 2015 deadline for achieving the AEC looms. For any endeavour in life, there is nothing like a deadline to keep minds focused on the ultimate long-term goal. I doubt anyone expects the momentum built in the last few years to come to an end when the AEC is declared in 14 months' time. For governments, the work will be far from over, and for business, the opportunities will only grow. December 2015 is an important stepping stone rather than an endpoint. I have every expectation that the momentum we see today will be just as important to ASEAN post-2015. While Myanmar has been busy chairing ASEAN this year, Australia has been working hard as chair of the G20. The G20 agenda has close complementarities with the AEC, with focus on infrastructure, trade, development and competition. Discussions on the G20 development agenda are focused on key areas to ensure the benefits of growth are widely spread, truly sustainable and inclusive. This includes increasing financing for infrastructure investment by encouraging the right conditions to attract private sector investment in developing economies. The G20 is on track to deliver a package of infrastructure actions that will begin to address the $1 trillion annual global infrastructure deficit. Australia, as the G20 chair, is committed to ensure that it remains a key forum to boost global growth. Australia welcomes the contribution from Myanmar as chair of ASEAN in its efforts to link the ASEAN and G20 agendas, particularly in relation to building the right infrastructure that supports economic development and integration. Australia will be delighted to welcome President Thein Sein to the G20 summit in June next month as chair of ASEAN, immediately after the East Asia Summit in Nepal. I look forward to the discussion under Session 3 today on the policy environment for SMEs. Australia has long supported increased participation of SMEs in regional supply chains, particularly in the CLMV countries. For instance, our Cambodia Agricultural Value Chain Program is helping Cambodian farmers increase their productivity by addressing market constraints in the rice and vegetable value chains. The program has worked with companies in the seed, fertiliser, pesticide, milling and export markets sectors to improve access to regional supply chains. I'm also very pleased to see women in business reflected in today's SME panel. Women play such a critical role in small and medium business sectors across the region, and it is important their voices are heard and their ideas are acted upon. At Australia's recent NGO Policy Dialogue in Hanoi, we heard some inspiring success stories from women entrepreneurs in the region. These discussions are a good reminder of the challenges faced by women in accessing the benefits of the AEC. We know, as the Deputy Minister said earlier, we know from the AEC's scorecard process that more than 3/4 of the AEC objectives have been implemented. And we also know from the ASEAN Integrated Monitoring Report published earlier this year that that ASEAN economic integration has been trade creating, that intra-ASEAN trade has been boosted, and ASEAN's trade with the rest of the world has grown. But we also know that there are hard yards ahead: identifying and using non-tariff measures, building competitiveness, reducing trade costs, and protection of intellectual property rights. The policy challenges have particularly been found in the smaller economies, notwithstanding the gains they are making. Any discussion of non-tariff measures can get technical and tedious very quickly. It's important to remind ourselves just how basic the core issues really are. One striking recent example is how automated customs procedures at ports and border posts in Cambodia reduced customs clearance times down from 6 days in 2010 to 1.4 days in 2014. The AEC is proving to be an anchor for the deeper reforms needed to increase competitiveness. Foreign direct investment has grown significantly in the Mekong region, where governments have begun reforms needed to drive down trade costs. That is why Australia has been supporting efforts to narrow the development gap through helping countries address the crippling impacts of non-tariff measures. We will continue to invest in these important reforms with a focus on supporting efforts of the less wealthy ASEANs to modernise customs, transit and logistics systems in line with the ASEAN single window. I'm confident that governments will make economic policy choices which will seek to improve governance, economic opportunity, labour skills and transparency if truly inclusive AEC is to eventuate. I hope today will offer, for those business people among us, the opportunity to get first-hand information about how companies can make the most of the opportunities the AEC presents, and for those business people to give policymakers a reality check with their questions and feedback about what's needed for business to step up investments in the region. Australia has a profound and enduring interest in ASEAN, and ASEAN has never been more important than it is today. Our region's prosperity owes much to ASEAN's achievements. We stand to enhance our commitment to ASEAN's economic goals beyond the 2015 community target. Today's symposium is an important initiative from the ASEAN Secretariat. I wish you well in the discussions and I look forward to hearing more from you all. Thank you very much. Please be back.
I'd like to thank Your Excellency, Ambassador Marafe, for opening remarks. Let's warmly welcome His Excellency, Mr. Lim Hong Kim, Deputy Secretary General for the ASEAN's Economic Community, for the presentations on the ASEAN's Economic Community.
Thank you very much, Mila. Good morning to everyone. Excellencies, Sir Marifu, Australia Common Representative to ASEAN, and a very good friend of mine who we can actually exchange candid views on everything under the sun. And also to Ms. Tan Bin, our senior official chair from Myanmar. Thank you for joining us from Nobito. We came down together from by road yesterday morning. Still very fresh in our mind. Before I get into the presentation, I want to take this opportunity again to thank the Australian government for sponsoring this AEC Symposium. This is the second time we did it. The first time we did it was back in 2012, and we were trying to do one in 2013 in Thailand. We didn't materialize. We are quite happy that we managed to do one in Myanmar in 2014. And behind the scenes, I also want to thank Ferry Sukanyam from the ASEAN Australia Global Cooperation Program for the hard work and collaborating with my colleague like Pen Change and Vicky, to coordinate with all the speakers, panelists and moderators. And of course, I also want to thank the speakers, panelists and moderators for taking the time to come all the way down to Myanmar to share with us in terms of what the views are, in terms of the issues SMEs are facing, and also to exchange some ideas in terms of how we can actually better integrate SME into the global economy in ASEAN first. What I hope to do is to be able to. There's another trigger for this slide. What I intend to do in the next 20 minutes is to practically tell you what we set out to do, where we are at the moment, and also to share some perception of what we're going to get when we go through 2015 and post 2015. Allow me to start with where we are at the moment, what we set out to do. I want to give you some background. We all started back in 1997 when the ASEAN leaders gathered in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia during the second Informal ASEAN Summit, where they actually adopted the ASEAN Vision 2020, where they foresee a concept of Southeast Asian nation, outward-looking, leading to peace, stability, and prosperity, bonded together in partnership, dynamic development, and in a community of coherent society. And that was the vision adopted by the leaders in working towards 2020. 6 years later, when the leaders gathered in Bali in 2003, at the 9th ASEAN Summit, the leaders have actually agreed to establish an ASEAN community comprising of all the 3 pillars: political security, economics, and social culture. 4 years later, in Singapore, November 2007, at the 13th ASEAN Summit, the leaders have actually adopted the ASEAN AEC Community Blueprint, which we refer to as AEC. And in that blueprint, what the leader envisaged is that they will establish a single market and production base, which is competitive, which is equitable, and which will be fully integrated into the global economy. And the leaders have also made one important decision to actually expedite the timeline in order to realize this single market and production base from 2020, a vision dated way back to 1997 when they inhaled to 2015. So in this screen, you'll see that there are 4 pillars, and this is what we hope to set out to do by 2015. What I intend to do for the next few slides is to try to give you some progress development in each of the 4 pillars so that you can see some of the low-hanging fruit that's already been put in place, some of it has been joined by the SME in the region, and some are still very much a work in progress. A lot of focus has been going down to pillar 1, especially when there's so many important areas to look into. Allow me to start in trade and goods. As far as trade and goods is concerned, we've done quite well when it comes to tariff elimination. As far as the ASEAN 6 countries are concerned, we already have reduced eliminate all the tariff duties for 99.2% of our tariff line. But in the case of the CLV country, I'll be using a lot of abbreviation along the way. CLV country referred to as Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So for the CLV country, they already have 97.2%, where all the tariff line is 0 to 5% duty range. But there's a lot of work that need to be done, especially on the non-tariff measure. And what we have done here is that we've actually adopted 2 programs, one at national level, one at regional level. At the national level, we will expect each ASEAN member state to actually update their inventory of non-tariff measure. We will expect each of the ASEAN member states to review and also to streamline this non-tariff measure. At the regional level, the ASEAN Secretary have been tasked to maintain the non-tariff measure database and also to verify the non-tariff barrier component in each of these non-tariff measures, and also to look at ways and means to address these non-tariff barriers. On the self-certification pilot project, this is a very interesting project where we are embarking on at the moment. Basically what it does is allow self-certified exporters to certify whether they actually meet the requirement in terms of rules of origin in the export document. If they meet the requirement, then they will be able to enjoy a preferential tariff under the ASEAN Trade Goods Agreement. Currently, we have 2 pilot projects in place. One is the first one was by Brunei, Malaysia, and Singapore, and then now Thailand, Myanmar, and Cambodia is expressing interest to join the first certification pilot project. And we also have a second certification pilot project. This is led by Indonesia, Laos, and Philippines, and then here Thailand and Vietnam have also expressed interest to come on board. In the area of standard, which also can sometimes become a non-tariff barrier. In ASEAN, we have actually adopted a 3-pronged approach in terms of how we can address standard. On the first one, we are talking about trying to harmonize or align national standard with international standard. We cannot be trading this among ourselves, we will trade the rest of the world. In order to do that, we have to align our standard to international standard. Once we have reached that, we also have a certain part strategy, which is to usually recognize the result of the cumulative assessment test, in the sense that we recognize each other, we make a standard requirement, and the products will be able to come into your own country. And then we have a single regulatory regime. This is where we have a common regulatory regime for the standard for the products we are looking at. But in terms of progress, standard, aligning national standard to international standard, we've done quite well. For the electrical electronic equipment, we already have aligned 121 standards. For the rubber, we have aligned 46. For cosmetic, we've done 8. And also for automotive, we've done 10. As far as the MRA is concerned, we already completed electrical electronic and pharmaceutical. And then for regulatory regime, we also done for electrical electronic and cosmetic. And what it does mean to put all this in place is that we'll make it easier for the trading and the flow of this product in the region. And we also have an ASEAN single window pilot project. And this is a single decision-making point for custom clearance and release of goods when you export your own products. We have already done the pilot project, and this again will thank the USA for providing all the much needed technical assistance and also the financial assistance to actually do a pilot project involving 7 countries. They have actually exchanged documents like Form D, Customs Declaration, and this has been fully completed, successfully done. And we're now embarking on the scale-up pilot project, and we already just finalized the legal framework to support an ASEAN single window, and then we expected to be live what we call data for implementation in Q3 of 2015. What it does in the ASEAN single window is that it will make it easier for the private sectors, where you actually have to monitor, communicate all your documentation through one single point, for you to actually help to release your cargo before exporting to the country. In trade and services, we have already concluded a package of commitment. We expect the 9th package to be signed by the end of this year during the 25th ASEAN Summit. What we've done here is that we've actually liberalized about more than 80 service sector and subsector. They have actually made it easier in terms of trying to increase the foreign equity for other service providers to take up when we set up commercial presence in the country. And we also have established a mutual recognition arrangement for skill level, where we cover architect, accountant, engineers, surveyors, then case manager and nursing, and also looking down at tourism professional. And we also have went one step further toward the skill level, especially on engineers and architects, where we already put a mechanism in place where you can actually register for chartered professional. And once you're registered as a chartered professional, you're allowed to go to other ASEAN countries to practice. That applies currently in the moment for engineers and also for architects. As far as investment is concerned, we do have what we call the ASEAN Comprehensive Investment Agreement. And under there, we do have two articles which is quite important for you to take note of. One is Article 9 on reservation, and the other one is Article 21 on transparency. These are the modalities that we set out for us to help us to get member country to do their part to further eliminate or reduce investment restriction. Last August in Nopito, during the 46th AEM, the ASEAN Prime Minister has signed the protocol to ASEAN, and they provide a legal mechanism for ASEAN member states to go about reducing the reservations which they actually put forward back in 2012. In order to improve our investment regime, we also have annual peer review process among the ASEAN countries, and we also been working very closely with OECD to help us to undertake some of the investment policy review to make sure that the investment policy in each of the ASEAN member states is competitive and compared to the basic principle of investment to compare to the rest of the world. In the case of finance, we also have done quite good in terms of the diversity financial services. We will cover banking, life and non-life insurance, and other reinsurance and retrocessions. And the 6th package is supposed to be signed, is being finalized. We are waiting to be signed before the end of the year. Capital account authorizations, this is where we try to identify rules to facilitate the free flow of capitals for FDI, for portfolio, for other type of flow like trade credits, loans, currency deposits, and also other asset and liability. In terms of ASEAN exchange, this is a linking up of the three major exchanges in ASEAN, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, and we'll also be looking at linking up with the other exchanges set up in ASEAN member states. What we have today right now is that there are a total of 3,600 companies where there's a market capitalization of $2.9 trillion, and this is one good way for SME to look forward to raise their capital. As far as agriculture, fishery, forestry is concerned, some of you might be in the agriculture sectors, some of you may not be, but it's good for you to take note that a lot of good progress has been made in terms of setting up the ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework. When the minister met in Nopito towards the end of September, they actually adopted the next 5-year plan in terms of how we can actually increase food productions, reduce post-harvest loss, and also to promote ability and accessibility to agriculture inputs. And we also have the ASEAN Plus 3 Amnesty Rights Reserve Agreement. This is an initiative between ASEAN, China, Japan, and Korea. This has already been effective and implemented. And the whole idea is that we have this regional rights reserve in the form of physical stock. It can be earmarked, it can be stockpiled, it can also be another form of future contract or even donation. And they also have a secretariat placed in London to actually manage the operationalization of the trade. This is going down to Pillar 2. In Pillar 2, there are a number of very important areas which are currently working. This is something that there's some progress we make again with technical assistance from all our dialogue partners. As far as opportunity is concerned, right now, there's only 5 ASEAN member states who have a commission policy and law in place. This includes Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Even in the AEC blueprint, we are targeting for 7 ASEAN member states to have a commission policy and law in place. For us in Secretariat, we would like to bring all the 10 countries on board. So we are working very closely with all the remaining 5 countries. Brunei, Cambodia, Myanmar have made a point that they already came up with a draft, and this has been submitted for consultation. In the case of Laos, they'll be only submitting by middle of 2015. And for the case of Philippines, they said that they will have the law ready by 2015. So it's our intention to work very closely with all the remaining ASEAN member states to make sure that by end of 2015, all the 10 countries have their respective commission policy and law in place. And we also have put a number of strategy and tools to actually advocate at the regional level how we can get countries to look at commission as a serious area of cooperation which they must pursue in order to promote a fair level of playing field in the region. We've done phase 1 with portals, campaign, family video. Phase 2, we also have a comprehensive guidebook in terms of existing member states how they undertake this 10 advocacy in the country. Intellectual property right, IPR action plan. This covers patent, designs, trademark, and copyright. What we have in the intellectual property right is that first is to register and also to protect and enforce IPR, and also to develop a national or regional legal framework to address the evolving IP needs. And most importantly, also to systematically promote the IP creation, awareness, and also utilization in each of the countries in the region. When we come to consumer protection, right now there are 9 ASEAN member states, except Cambodia, who have a consumer protection act in place. And then this is quite important in order to protect the right of the consumer. And what they have done so far is that to start looking at all the list of banned and recalled products to make sure that the consumers are aware. And we're also working with EU, where they agreed to publish their own list of banned and recalled products on their site, because EU is one of our major trading partners, together with like Australia and also China. So this is where we help each other to protect our consumer protection right. And we also have developed a number of national complaint system and redress scheme. In each of the ASEAN countries, they have an internal complaint handling system. And we also have a self-regulatory external consumer redress scheme. And we're also looking at the possibility of having a private sector redress body in each ASEAN country, like ombudsman. So this is something that we are trying to work with ASEAN member countries to have this in place. On the other part of the pillar 2, this is a very critical area, the infrastructure, A, land, sea, and transport. Just to let me touch on A. This is how important the A sectors have become. If you want to look at the ASEAN airline capacity, way back in 2003, we were only looking at 94 million seating capacity. Now in 2013 or last year, we're looking at 268 million seating capacity. That's an increase of 300% over a period of 10 years. And then if you were to look at the role of the low-cost carrier in all this seating capacity, back in 2003, they're only looking at 4 million, which is only about 4% of the seating capacity. In 2013, they contribute to about 155 million. That is about 57% of the seating capacity we have in ASEAN because of low-cost carrier. And then one thing to note is also the arrival of international tourists in ASEAN. In 2003, we were looking at 33 million. Last year, we recorded 99 million, another 300% increase. This is why it's very important for ASEAN member states to ensure that all this infrastructure in place to be able to cope with all this arrival, and then to make sure that we are able to support them. Liberalization of air transport services, we already have completed air package, and it was signed last year when the Transport Minister went past it. We will report for Thailand to sign later this year with the new government in place. And on the ASEAN Highway Network, this is an ongoing important rail project. It comprises of 23 designated groups trying to facilitate the transfer of goods throughout the ASEAN country. It's 38,000 kilometers. And there are still a lot of things need to be done because some of the roads are not fit for the transfer of goods because they're below class 3. And then this can be found in Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And then we also have some discipline, especially in Myanmar, about 227. Once all this has been rectified, it will make it easier for the private sectors to even to move their goods around the region. This is something that the project is very much in the pipeline. When we talk about the Singapore Kunming Railway Link, this is a 5,000 kilometer stretch of railway track. It's not just building railway track. When we talk about railway track, they also look at establishing railway station. They also do supporting infrastructure. And right now we also have 7 missing links in Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. And this is quite a huge undertaking. We are working also very closely with our counterpart from China in terms of funding and also providing technical assistance to make this happen. ASEAN Transport Facilitation Agreement, this is the most critical part. We have an ASEAN Framework Agreement on Goods in Transit, signed in 1998. Not being operational yet. There are 9 protocols. And then when I came in April 2012, there were still 2 protocols outstanding. Protocol 2, Destination of Frontier Ports. Protocol 7, the Custom Transit System. We have managed to finalize and sign the Protocol 7 Custom Transit System. The only pending is a signature from Thailand following the establishment of the new government. And we intend to work with the ASEAN member states, especially Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, to finalize the legal text of Protocol 2 and have to get this signed by next year. What we intend to do in the sector is to work very closely with member states and also private sector to make sure that what has been agreed by the to take on the board by member state get implemented as soon as possible. On ICT, there's been a lot of effort to try to reduce the cost of communication. Brunei and Malaysia, Singapore and Malaysia was the first ASEAN member state to actually have a collaboration between the 2 countries to look at how they can actually lower the intra-ASEAN moving vertical charges. And up to now, since they first started, they reduced more than half of the prices between the 2 countries. And there's also effort to look at how to actually promote use of ICT by SME. And then this is where we're talking about looking at setting up an ASEAN corridor in each of the ASEAN countries where the government can promote more technical assistance to the SME. On energy, we have 2 major projects. I know that these 2 projects have been in the pipeline for quite some time, but I was quite pleased to hear the progress that we made when I attended the energy minister meeting 2 weeks ago in Vientiane in Laos. As far as the ASEAN power grid is concerned, there are 16 interconnection pipelines. 6 have been completed. The idea behind the ASEAN power grid, this is to lower the capital investment in order to be able to do trade for electricity. What we are trying to look at is to do cross-border between the country and border, and then to go sub-regional, and then to go for the whole region. 2 weeks ago, when I attended the energy minister, they actually announced their first sub-regional electricity trading operation. This is from Laos. Laos is already trading with China. And now they want to extend all the way down to Malaysia and Singapore. And of course, we did this constantly judgment. You have to start looking at all the legal framework required. We also look at the technical requirement because there will be different technical certification from one transmission line to another transmission line, even within the same country rather than within the country. What the minister said agreed to do was to put this in place by 2018. This is part of the post-2015 vision. And then we also have the Trans-Gas pipeline. And here we are looking at 4,000, before I go to the Trans-ASEAN Gas pipeline. In the ASEAN power grid, even though we only have 6 out of the 16 interconnection pipelines in place, there's already 3,207 megawatt electricity being traded among the countries across the board. So this is going to be increased once the sub-regional trading platform is in place, comprising of the Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. On the Trans-ASEAN Gas pipeline, this is the establishment of the regional gas market. We are looking at 4,500 kilometers, and if you want to know the cost, is $7 billion. And this is going to be quite a very huge undertaking. To date, we have already completed 3,020 kilometers of the 4,500. And this is comprised of 11 bilateral pipelines. And the major challenge here will be the source of gas. Because this is way we have to make sure that even if all the pipeline running out in the same country without the gas, it doesn't end up with anything. It's like you can have a lot of nice road in ASEAN, if there's no car on the road, then the roads are not meant for anything else. Pillar 3, this is where the heart of the symposium is SME development. As I was talking to some of the speakers and as moderator, and I said that it's high time that we put the money where the mouth is, and we have to go beyond the service, and we have to recognize that SME is a very key player in driving the economic development in all the ASEAN member states. We have to listen more to the SME to know what are the issues, what are the concerns, and how we can actually work together to help them. In the SME development in ASEAN, we have several activities lined up, and even one of the things we do is try to have a better understanding of what are the difficulties and challenges faced by SME. There's been a lot of case study being done to look at the benchmark and also the benchmark for SME. I was advised by my colleague 19 had been done for agriculture-based ICT electronic sector, and it was not surprising that all these studies link up to the same issue. We actually reviewed the structure and financial challenges. We also reviewed the difficulty of access to finance, to market, to technologies, entrepreneurial spirit, and also manager skill. And also the compounded by inadequate capacity for the SME to comply with standards and education when they try to export the product from one country to the next country. As part of the Myanmar delivery for this year, we also want to set up a benchmark for SME credit rating methodology. Either we like it or not, banks and SME doesn't go together. It's not like fish and chips. So it is going to be quite different. In a sense that when the bank lends you $1, they expect $1.50 on it. And as far as the SME is concerned, we have to look at how ways and means, how we can actually improve their credit rating worthiness in order to be able to secure this loan which they need very much in order to start their operation or even expand their operation. This is something that we want to deliver to the summit in November next month in Myanmar. And we also have the ASEAN SME Policy Index. This is to thank thanks to the joint collaboration between OECD and Nigeria, and this already been put in place, and it should help us identify the strength and weakness in policy design and implementation. And we are working very closely with both OECD and Nigeria to see where are the stages of each ASEAN member state in terms of the SME development and how we can actually take it to one step further. Initiative for ASEAN integration. This started way back in 2000. This was primarily catered for CELD country. And then if you look at CELD country, Vietnam joined ASEAN in 95, Laos and Myanmar joined in 97, and then Cambodia in 99. It's been about 15 to 18 years that CELD had been part of the member of ASEAN, and we're still looking at how we can actually expedite the integration into the region. And we do have year in, year out a lot of technical workshop on trade, finance, FTA negotiation, trade facilitation, strategic planning, and some of these workshops will not be possible without the technical assistance from dialogue partners and also from ASEAN member states. And we also have a annual engagement of CELD official to ASEAN secretary so that they know, as a member country, what are their obligations and responsibilities as a member and how they can go about implementing them as we go along. What is important is the ASEAN framework for equitable development. Back in 2011, under the Bali Concord Treaty, the ASEAN leaders have adopted a framework for equitable development, and it's 2011. And up to today, we're still trying to find a way how to operationalize this framework. I've been working with World Bank. They've actually developed a set of indicators to look at the economic developments in terms of how they can actually help us to analyze the trend in the economic development in each aspect of the country. And this report is now being finalized. It will be presented to the leaders next month. And our intention beyond next year will be this is the idea of bringing to the leaders to show them how useful the indicator that we set up at World Bank in order to be able to help each ASEAN country to analyze the trend in equitable economic development. And then for next year, we will intend to go down at the national level so that we report on each ASEAN member country so that they can come up with appropriate policy and recommendation in terms of moving forward. Pillar 4. You should be interested in this one. We have actually concluded 5 FTA with China, Japan, Korea, India, Australia, and New Zealand. And we are now in the process. We just started our first round negotiation with Hong Kong. That was last July, and the next round will be next month in Bangkok in November. And we also have ASEC where we actually intend to consolidate all the 5 FTA so that to make it easier for SME. Because right now, under each of the ASEAN Platform FTA, there are so many different rules and procedures, so many what we call it rules to follow. And what we hope to do is that under the ASEAN, this will be one simplified, harmonized rule that the SME can look into. What we hope to do is that if you look at the tables in front of you, when we talk about size of market, 3.4 million for ASEAN, that's how big the market is. It's 3.4 billion people. When we combine China and India, we know where we get into. And then certainly the size of the economy, $20.9 trillion. And then the total trade we have at the moment is 872 billion. And it's going to about to increase once the FTA is in place. And it's very important on the FTA. I get a lot of complaints from SME in the sense that sometimes for some of the FTA, their sectors are not included. It all depends on what's negotiated. And I've been trying to tell the FTA, the private sector, to say that each time you hear your government embarking on an FTA, it's very important for you to present your case and tell them that why is it important that your sectors should take into account. So I'm not saying that the government officials are not doing their homework. They might not have a full picture of how important the sectors are and what the plans for the future and what we can actually seize from a particular partner when you pursue an FTA with them. Without this input, the government official will do their own homework and they'll make their own decision. In any FTA, it's a request and offer approach. One FTA partner can request a government and say, I want you to open up the automotive sector. In response, they say, fine, I want you to open up the chemical sector. But the question here is that can we look at this in that detail, whether is this a good trade, in the sense that, would you be asking for more? And it will be very critical that the private sector speak up so that you get to be able to seize the benefit that comes out from other FTA. And then without that, the FTA will always remain as a FTA. By 2015, what we hope to achieve is that trading will be made easier due to simple, harmonized, and streamlined trade and customs procedure. We will have a more strengthened financial intermediation and risk management capacity to support sustainable growth. And we'll also have a greater diversity of talent which can benefit countries in the region. We have put out a booklet at the reception table where we have all this key messaging for AEC 2015. I just want to give you a few examples. I'm not just here to sit down to tell you all the glory things we've done, but to share with you that some of the things we've done is actually been enjoyed by some of the SME in the region. For example, if you talk about share market and share benefit from 10 to 1, if I take our one of the local ASEAN company, Jollibee in the Philippines, they have been able to set up a very efficient regional production network, and they've been able to source their ingredients from all the ASEAN countries at a profit share of 0%, and they're able to cut down the costs. So there was one thing about share market and share benefit. And then if you want to talk about another example, the Jackson & Jackson, we started very small in Asia. Now they are operating in 9% in the state, and then they are very diversified in cable, chemical, packaging, and this is where we talk about share market and share benefit. When we talk about simplified rules, greater access trading on a bigger stage, let me give you a real example. There's a company called Denso. Some of you may heard it, some of you may not. They actually manufacture air conditioning condenser for cars. And then they are one of the certified exporters. And they've actually done what we call a 6-month evaluation and found that the transaction cost and the time that they actually reduced for them. And they were quite happy that with the certification they managed to make the business structure more effectively. Earlier on, before being certified, they have to go to each government department to get the approval before they can actually export the product. Now they're certified, they can do it on their own by declaring that it was performance. So it's tough time. And another one, Sony, based in Malaysia, they actually manufacture a lot of electronic products. And then as far as the electrical sector is concerned, there's 21 what called AEC level 2 accredited. And also, what happened is that when Sony manufacture the products, they actually send the products to this testing laboratory. And once the testing laboratory come up with the result test, that result is actually been accepted by all the regulatory regime in ASEAN member states. So their product doesn't have to be subject to further testing when you go from one country to the next country. When we talk about expanding access to finance, as you know, even ASEAN be one of the largest ASEAN bank in the region where they have presence in 9 countries. They consider themselves as an ASEAN bank, and they also have this multi-local business model where they actually depend a lot on the local officials to help them to work in the market that they're operating in. And we also got the ASEAN exchange that I mentioned earlier on, 3,600 companies being listed, and it gives you an opportunity to look at a market capitalization of $2.9 trillion. ASEAN professional on the move, best people, best practices. If you talk to Asia, I'm sure you get a chance to talk to Tony Fernandez when he got to speak at the conference in November, 20 November in Kuala Lumpur. That ceremony is organizing one, and they practice saying that the employee is the key to their success, and then they're actually in all their operations, they're utilizing on their local staff to help them to deliver their services. And in a nutshell, in summing up, I just want to point that there are many AEC deliverers is already being realized, and some of the SME have managed to enjoy the benefit. And rest assured, by end of 2015, that's not the end of regional integration. We expect them to continue to a broader and deeper regional integration. This is already committed by the leaders in July last year, where they actually adopted a declaration that they want us to start looking at developing a vision post 2015. And this is quite critical. This is where we really need to work very closely with the private sectors. As I mentioned earlier on, if I hope the panelists and the speakers and moderators don't mind, I want to repeat in front of all the participants. When we develop the post 2015 vision, it's very important for us to solicit input from the private sectors. This is because when I go through all this outreach program and symposium which we organize, one thing the message I get back very often is that it seems that nobody knows what we're doing, let alone to know the impact of what we're doing. And sometimes it even say that some of the measures we do is not relevant to their business. I think in a symposium like this, I hope there will be more candid and frank exchange of view to tell us what are the things that we should be doing and what are the things of concern to you. Because without this input, the government officials will be more than happy to sit together and start coming up with their own ideas in terms of what they see we should be doing for 2015. But at the end of the day, I've been talking to many senior officials. At the end of the day, we have to keep in mind who are the beneficiaries of all the initiative. It's the private sector. It's the general public. We need to have a better understanding of what their concerns are. We need to have a better understanding what we can do to have an impact on how we do things in the region. And we need to have a better understanding in terms of what's important to them. So that's why this is, for a symposium like this, is very critical for us to actually work very closely with the private sector. And sometimes for us as a secretary, despite the human and financial resources constraint we have, we shouldn't be sort of hiding behind this excuse not to do anything. But I would still very much like to see how much we can do with all the limited resources constraint we have. But one thing is important is that the private sector has a role to play. So does the secretary. In the private sectors, some of you are very prominent in your own economy, and you have an influence on the government decision-making process. It's very important that some of the obligation which the ASEAN member state have agreed to take on, they see it through. And we will, as a part of secretary, will try to facilitate with ASEAN member state on this. But more importantly, is for the private sector to also do your part, to remind your government that these are the things you have agreed to take on, and you have to see it through. Because year in, year out, when I see so many agreements signed, and some inside, some are ratified, some are not implemented, it is quite frustrating. Because for the SME, when you have all these initiative put in place, it's important that we see it through. So I'm trying to work with private sectors, I'm trying to work with dialogue partners to see how we can actually work together to ensure that the ASEAN member states government actually implement what they actually agree to do. And this is the only way to achieve a higher, deeper regional integration. If not, we'll be where we are at the moment. So I want to reassure you that we are a partner for private sectors. I've been talking to private sector on a weekly basis. I need to understand what are the issues, what are the concerns, and what are the things we have done wrong, what are the things we have not done right, and what are the things we have not done at all. And then hopefully with the inputs, we're able to take it up to push it on to the post-2015 vision. 2 weeks ago, I had two consultations, one with issues these sectors. One with healthcare sectors, and now I have SME, and next week I have another healthcare sector to deal with. I'm trying to gather all this information because we need to finalize the post-2015 vision next year. And your input is definitely something we definitely look forward to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lim Hong, for your informative presentation. Now we shall move on to section 1, intersections, road